Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dar and as ever I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to the SC300 Microsoft Exam Prep YouTube series. We were deep into, coming towards the end really I suppose, or just after the middle of Module 3. Smaller module compared to the last two that we've done. We're at the final part of the Enterprise for SSO applications topic. Before I get into that, I am joined once again by my good friend and partner co-host, Dwayne. Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, how you doing, Shabazz?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good to hear. So yeah, we're into Module 3. We've been nearly halfway through, over halfway, I believe, and we are into the Enterprise and the end of the Enterprise SSO topic. So without further ado, let's get started. Again, I'm not going to introduce myself and do it again. We did at the beginning of this module. Hopefully by now you know who we are. We'll do a reintroduction at the beginning of Module 4. So we are on Module 3, and Module 3 is the topic of implementing access management for applications. So let's just talk about what we're going to be covering in this episode. So this is part 3 of the Plan, Implement and Monitor the integration of enterprise apps for single sign-on, or SSO. And talk about designing and implementing integration for software as a service or SaaS apps. Then we're going to discuss provisioning and managing users, groups and roles on the enterprise apps. Finally, we'll look at creating and managing app collections, and that's also going to be the basis of our demo that Dwayne is going to do for us. So let's talk about designing, implementing integration for SaaS apps. So Azure AD, so you can use Azure AD as your identity system for just about any app, really. Many apps are already pre-configured and can be set with very little effort. These pre-configured apps are published in the Azure AD App Gallery. You can manually configure most apps for single sign-on, and if they can't already, if they're not already in the App Gallery, Azure AD provides several SSO options. SAML-based SSO and OIDC based SSO. So apps can delegate maintenance of their own username and password information to like a centralized identity provider. So again, you can use Azure AD as that example. Delegating authentication and authorization enables scenarios such as conditional access policies that require a user to be in a specific location or require MFA. And finally, you can use that sort of single sign-on, that SSO, and the use of that SSO enables the user to sign in once and then automatically sign in to all the other web apps that share that same credential directory. So again, just less kind of input from the user, makes them more productive, having to put their password in less times. Let's talk about identity platform protocol comparisons now, okay? So let's start off by looking at OAuth versus OpenID Connect. So OAuth is used for authorization, and OpenID Connect, OIDC, shorter version of it, is used for authentication. OpenID Connect is built on top of OAuth 2.0, which means the terminology and flow are similar between the two. You can authenticate a user using OpenID Connect and get authorization to access a protected resource that user owns using OAuth 2.0 in one request. So because they're built off of the same sort of platform, so from a security perspective, you can essentially get authorization authentication in the same request. So let's look at OAuth now versus SAML. So as I mentioned, OAuth is used for authorization, and SAML, which is security assertion markup language, is used for authentication. Okay, so again, slight difference between the two. Now let's just see how does SAML versus OpenID connect, because they're both authentication. So both OpenID Connect and SAML are used to authenticate a user and are used to enable single sign-on. With SAML's commonly used with identity providers such as Active Directory Federation Services, ADFS, which is federated to then Azure AD and is therefore frequently used in enterprise apps. Whereas OpenID Connect is commonly used for apps that are purely in the cloud, so it's cloud native, such as mobile apps, websites and web APIs. So with SAML we've got more of that sort of on-premises integration, and And sort of when you're talking about third-party integration, OpenID Connect is more cloud native. Let's talk about provision and managing users and groups and roles from these enterprise apps. Specifically, I want to start on implementing application user provisioning. So in Azure AD, the term provisioning refers to automatically creating user identities and roles in the cloud, SaaS for example, SaaS applications that users need to access. In addition to creating user identities, automatic provision includes the maintenance and removal of user identities as status or roles change. So again, if you're moving, if you move groups or you shouldn't have access to permissions on a particular group, a particular application, that maintenance and removal is also auto provisioned. So app integration, so common scenarios include Dropbox, Salesforce, and ServiceNow. So these are all third-party SaaS applications that you can do application integration with. Let's talk about some feature actions now. First one I'll touch on is automating provisioning. So what this allows is essentially this is automatically creating new accounts in the right systems for new people when they join a team or organization. Where we have automatic provisioning, we need to have automatic deprovisioning. So this is automatically deactivating accounts in the right systems when people leave a team or organization. Next feature I want to talk about is syncing data. So this is synchronizing data between different systems. So you need to ensure that identities in the apps and systems are kept up to date based on changes in the directory or the sort of HR system. Another feature action is provision groups. So provisioning a group to the application that supports them. Okay, so that's another feature action. Another feature action is governing access, so monitoring and auditing who has been provisioned into what applications. Deploying in brownfield, we've heard of greenfield. Brownfield is slightly expired, and I'm joking. Seamlessly deploy, brownfield scenarios, which is matching existing identities between systems and allowing for easy integration, even when the user already exists in that target system. Let's talk about customization. So, using rich customization, another feature action where you can take advantage of customizable attribute mappings that define what user data should flow from the source system to the target system. Getting critical alerts, another good feature action. The provisioning service provides alerts for critical events and allows for log analytics integration, where you can define custom alerts to suit your organizational needs. We'll talk about manual versus automatic provisioning for a second here. So we'll talk about manual provisioning. This means there's no automatic Azure AD provisioning connector for the app at the moment. User accounts must be created manually. Examples of this include adding users directly into the administrative portal of the app, or uploading a spreadsheet like a CSV with user account details. You normally need to consult the documentation provided by the app provider or contact the app developer to determine what mechanisms are available. On the flip side, if we look at automatic provisioning, this means that Azure AD provisioning connector has been developed for this application. So you follow a specific setup for setting up that provisioning for that application. So essentially when you create a user in AD, they're automatically provisioned for that app. So getting towards the end now of this theory element, I'll be handing over to Dwayne shortly. Just really want to touch on system for cross-domain identity management. So short, I think the acronym is SCIM. Microsoft love acronyms. So System for Cross-Domain Identity, or SCIM, specification provides a common user schema to help users into and out of and around applications, essentially. So schema is becoming the standard for provisioning, and when used in conjunction with federation standards like SAML or OpenID Connect, it provides administrators an end-to-end standards-based solution for access management. So last topic before I hand over is just going to quickly touch on creating and managing application collections before Dwayne goes into that demo. So let's look at the My Apps portal specifically. So when users can use your users can use in My Apps portal to view and start the cloud-based applications they have access to. It's obviously a web-based portal that is used for managing and launching applications in Azure Active Directory. Users access the apps portal to discover applications to which they have access to. You can also request new applications that the organization supports for self-service. You can also create personal collections of applications, which is something Dwayne's going to be showing us. And finally, you can manage access to those applications as well. My jaw's really hurting, Dwayne. Too much talking. I'm going to hand over to you, my good friend.
All right, yeah. So still sticking with the enterprise applications and our application settings. Again, we can get to that very easily within Entra, going to enterprise applications, and we have collections right there and manage. We can do that in the Azure Active Directory portal as well. We have some applications that are registered into our Azure Active Directory. And if we want to create a collection for a group of users, we can do that here. So, and a couple of videos ago, we were talking about the different ways that users can access applications. We have, their My Apps and their user portals. So this is really how we can create that collection of enterprise applications that they have access to when they go to their apps portal. So if we go here and do new collections, let's just call this demo collection. Oops. Early typing's not working really well, and select next, then we can start adding our applications. So if we go in here and hit the applications, and this is going to give us the list of applications that we have registered within our Azure Active Directory. You can see, you might have noticed in my enterprise applications, I had a AWS account in there because I'd set up single sign-on account access for AWS. If we continue to scroll down, you can see there are a lot of applications that are part of the solutions and services within Azure. You can see Azure. So if a user is working in Azure and is an administrator in Azure, you can actually give them and put these direct links to the areas that they're working in directly in their portal. Just scrolling through all the Azure DevOps. Let me just type GitHub here. It's typing badly. And there's GitHub Enterprise. If you notice, GitHub Enterprise is in my list of applications. I think I've got a demo app in there. Nope, that didn't come up. Registered app. Let's see. Do I have a My App? Come on up. There's My App. Okay, yeah, there's My App. So I can add these applications in here, and then you can see you can set up that collection. You can order it, put it in different order. If you want the My App to be the first to be in there, if I want to add some more, I don't know if like Office is in here or not. So yep, there is Microsoft 365 portal for Office. We have client admin. There's Exchange Online, so we can add that in there. So we can create then a specific collection. Then we can assign owners to it that can manage this collection. So maybe it's our admin accounts, so we can create that owner list, and then we set up the users and groups that are going to have access to this. So let's just say these are sales. I don't have sales in here. I don't have a sales group. Let's just say, you can see these are just a list of users. Let's say we're web admin, and we can select that web admin in here. Again, you can see our groups are in here. I must have deleted my sales group at some point. I've always had a sales group in here, but I don't know what happened to it. So I obviously was showing how to delete a group at one point. But after we select that that user or group of users we need, then we can review as we can with creating anything, and then we can create that collection. And you can see we've got that demo collection has now been created. If we select that collection, you can see the properties here. And so when that user goes to their my apps, these applications in this collection should be ready and available for them to access. So I think that does it for this demo. I will pass it back to you, Shabazz.
Thank you, Dwayne. Again, another great demo there on creating and managing app collections, which complements obviously what we're talking about in this module, in this episode. So thank you very much, Dwayne. Again, just want to say thank you to people who are watching and supporting us on on social media, Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff. And thank you for people that are watching. Me and Dwayne aren't gaining anything from this. We're doing it to try and help the community, anyone preparing for. As I said, this topic in particular is quite close to myself and Dwayne. Dwayne wrote the book on it. I helped him, with the technical review. So I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to do it. It is very time consuming. It's a lot of hard work, but we're doing it to help the community. So we do really appreciate everyone's kind words and support. Our URLs, our Twitter and LinkedIn socials and URLs are in the description, along with a link to Dwayne's book. Please do buy it, follow it along as you're doing this series, and also a link to the GitHub labs as well. You can follow the labs along as Dwayne's doing them. So yeah, thank you, Dwayne. Thank you everybody for watching, and up until next time, goodbye.
Yeah, thanks everybody.